week, new vibes, and I got a new sweater. So let's have a week this week, people. The Edmonton Oilers, they kick off their 4-game Eastern road trip with a stop in Buffalo. Hopefully they get some wings. They get set up for a matchup with the Sabres down at Key Bank Center. I had no idea that's what it was called, but hello, what up, and welcome to Pregaming with Bordzy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giants, and as a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Also use the code NATION, NATION. Let's check in with the chat because, of course, he's in. It was his birthday weekend this past weekend. Shout out, Austin. He says, good day, my ON fam. It's game day, baby. No better way to kick that off than pre-gaming with Bordzy. Fire up this fucking band, my guy. That's the energy we need at 4:01 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. Bob Stoffer's in. McCarr and Taves, who? Boosh and Walman, baby. We got to get Boosh going here before he means the playoffs. I think Kiana, who's ready to start the week off with a big fat orange W, keep this win streak going. I know I am. Cup yeah. Cup yeah. There we go. That'll get you back going in a Monday afternoon, people. Southpaw, may the best day of our past be the worst day of our future. Whoa. Cup yeah. Cup yeah. Let's go, Oilers. Sadistic Angel. Happy game day. Best time of the day is pre-drinking with Bordzy. I appreciate that very much. Let's go. Woof, woof. I love when Peyton gave us a cat sound and a meow in the background as well. A lot of good energy in here. OMG. Let's go, Oilers, from Evander Kane. Nin Joel with a simple cup yeah. Cup yeah. Vinny's in and says it's a cup yeah. Cup yeah. And then K. Waddy says, wow, Aaron Ekblad, you cheater, you fraud, you. As we just got the news down the pipeline, Aaron Ekblad suspended 20 games by the NHL because he violated the terms of the NHLPA Performance Enhancing Substances Program. Woo, baby. Only 18 games left in the Panthers season, so I'm just assuming, obviously, that carries over to the playoffs. Expected to miss the first 2 games of that. Suck it, Aaron Ekblad. But before we get into that, I am joined by the one, the only, an OG of Oilers Nation. It's Coomsy. And Coomer, how are we doing? How was your weekend? How are we feeling? Because you and I are both rocking Lululemon quarter zips today. We both got very similar pants, but just different colors. Boys are primed up for a good week. How we doing?
Yeah, that's what I was going to start off with, is I couldn't help but notice you were wearing that nice collared zip-up sweater, long-sleeve shirt from Lululemon. And I thought, you know what? I've been rocking these a lot the past couple months, and I see you went and got yourself a fresh zip-up shirt.
I said, Kunzi, you've been looking so good on these shows lately, I noticed. I had to step up my game. Actually ran into one of our loyal viewers, Jaron, at Southgate Mall yesterday. Shout out him. We bumped into each other like 3 times. He was like, I thought you live in Sherwood Park. I said, I do. Am I allowed to leave the city? Nope. Am I allowed to leave it? Bacoom, we're doing good. Good weekend. Bert is here. Producer Brad behind the scenes. You missed us on Saturday night, but you were busy dancing up a storm at a wedding. You were in the groom's party, and as I did point out to you, I was shocked by how well kept together your hair was in all of the photos at the reception, because I know you. Yep. I know your body temperature tends to rise. I know both of us, we like to dance and get sweaty, but how was the weekend?
It was a fantastic and beautiful weekend. Yes, it was Brendan Escott's wedding, of course, that we went out to. So, no, it was great. Yes, my hair was stuck together with a lot of Cantu and hairspray, and somehow she still played. So that was nice. Can confirm the pants did get split at one point as I gave the bride a lap dance where she whispered to me, do the splits. You have to abide by what the bride.
Her day, brother.
Exactly.
It's her day.
So I went and split my pants, but no, it was fantastic. With the what's it called? The daylight savings. We ended up back at the hotel at 4:30, so that was a nice little jarring thing. But that's just signs of a fantastic and beautiful night full of love. It was just I cried like a fucking baby. We had
Are you a crier at weddings?
Well, not normally, but I think for me it was.
If it's like my buddy, I could see
exactly. So like we put lines up for like different things. The whole bridal party, we kind of placed bets on certain things, and at the end of the night, I think we should have put a line on me because you should have hammered the freaking over, baby. I was a crybaby the entire weekend.
My boy loves love. Okay, you can't be guilty for loving love. And then also a 4:30 a.m. night. That just means it was a night full of love. And of course, shout out. You were in Jasper as well, right? Yeah. For the wedding. How we doing over there? Once again, nationgear.ca. Get your Jasper Bears shirts. I believe they're still up there. I rock mine all the time. How's the city of Jasper doing?
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. On the Sunday, the day we left, unfortunately, but the snow hit perfectly. Like it was, you saw just the tips of the mountains were covered with snow, and it was perfect for skiing. The father of the bride, it was his birthday. I said, happy birthday. He said, thank you. I am hitting the slopes tomorrow. And it was a perfect day for that. So yeah, no, beautiful. First time there as well. So yeah.
So many jokes to be made. Don't make those jokes. Aaron Bordato, continue to power through. But we mentioned it there. Late breaking news here right before the show. Shout out Elliot Friedman. Aaron Ekblad suspended 20 games. Seeing a lot of people in here. That is such a small punishment for PEDs. Somebody pointed out, Levi, 20 games for drug use, 41 for gambling in the case of Shane Pinto. Think about that one, Gary. Bob Stauffer, not going to read it. Fair point. Who knows what that question could be, but thoughts on Aaron Ekblad getting 20 games here before the playoffs. Somebody pointed out, saying in the chat, what he gets caught doing PEDs, his punishment is resting for the playoffs and missing 2 playoff games. I don't think you can look at it like that. He obviously wants to be playing in these final 18 regular season games, but Coomer, that's some big news to come out casually. And the Panthers, they were the bell at the ball Friday for the NHL trade deadline, acquiring Brad Marchand. Before that, they even acquired one Seth Jones. My question to you, did they know that this was coming? Did they know that this suspension was coming down the pipe? And maybe that's a reason they got Seth Jones. But your initial thoughts? Aaron Ekblad, suspended, brother.
That was sort of the initial thing that popped out in to me here was that, well, it's a good thing that the Florida Panthers acquired Seth Jones about a week and a half before this all happened. Then you wonder, well, did they have some insight into this happening? Did they know that he was going to fail a drug test and get sort of a strange 20-game suspension? It doesn't happen as often in hockey as it does in baseball or football, different sports with PEDs, but 20 games seems like a very bizarre suspension. And like you said, given the timing here, it almost seems like a little slap on the wrist, almost vacation for Aaron Ekblad. It would have been a lot more damning if he was handed a 30 or 40 game suspension right before they're about to go into the playoffs. But this to me doesn't seem like a huge punishment given the time of year. Like I that he's only going to miss the first 2 games of the first round doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal.
And like I said, that should include the first 2 games of the NHL playoffs. But the way Ford is playing right now, it feels like they can afford that one. Curious your guys' thoughts in the chat on the severity of that suspension. Great point. Shane Pinto getting 41 games while that happens. And I mean, that was a whole messy, ugly situation. I don't really understand it, but I don't know, brother. I'd be suspended for both of those things right now.
The Ottawa Senators helmets have a betting logo on it. Like, what are we doing? Every commercial, there's
365 is an official partner of the NHL.
Yeah,
shout out.
There are 90 seconds for every commercial break in the NHL, and like 60 of those 90 seconds are betting commercials. Yeah. What are we doing? Like setting an example? Really? I don't know.
I mean, once again, if you are dumb enough to get caught gambling on professional sports that you play in, maybe you deserve 40 games just for being a moron, but at least be consistent with your being a moron and your punishments. Before we get into the Oiler talk, I do want to give a shout out to Odd Company, Nation Beer Everyday Lager. Post-trade deadline, I crushed way too many of these bad boys because they are delicious. They are smooth. They go down beautifully. You can get them 2 locations in the Edmonton area, downtown, or their Ritchie location, or just go check liquorconnect.com and find out which local liquor stores are carrying these bad boys. It might be Monday. It might be 4 p.m., but at approximately 3:30, the 3 of us, you, me, and Brett, did go through the fridge upstairs, and I am happy to report the boys are drinking Nation beers tonight. Let's go. I just dropped my phone. I was sorry. The dogs
Got
came
too
out.
excited.
The dogs came out for that one. But what I do want to talk about Saturday a little bit before we move on to this game, because the Oilers showed up offensively on Saturday night against the Dallas Stars. They scored 5 goals for the first time since January 23rd of 2025. And it was a little bit of everything, dude. Zach Hyman, 2 goals, 3 points. That was his second 3-point night this entire season. Connor McDavid, goal and assist. Absolutely just undressing Ilya Lyubushkin. You feel bad for the guy. He's in a long list of defensemen now that have seen their jockstrap hanging up in the rafters. Leon Draisaitl continues his now 14-game point streak, which ties his career high. Hell, dude, even Victor Arvidsson looked really good in that hockey game, scored a goal the first time. He had gone goalless in his last 12 games before that, had 5 shots on goal. The goal he did score, shocking, stayed on 2 feet, and he hit the net, got full connection on it. That's how you know everything was rolling. And then you add in Jake Walman, brother. He was a wrecking ball, played 24 minutes, had an assist, all kinds of good numbers. We'll get into that specifically in just a minute, but that win came against an incredibly loaded and stacked team in the Dallas Stars, a team that going into it was ranked 3rd in the entire NHL. They even had their new addition, their new toy in Mikko Rantanen, who Jake Walman just fucking brick walled him at center ice. It was a thing of beauty. I just cannot stress enough about how big of a win that was for the Edmonton Oilers, for their confidence to see some pucks go across the goal line for some guys. It's confidence builder, momentum builder. There was a point brought up, right, that maybe, who knows, there's a human element to all this. Maybe some dudes were that nervous about the NHL trade deadline coming up that you can't play the way you'd like to. I'd still say that's a bullshit excuse. But coming out of that trade deadline, either way, huge 2 points for the Edmonton Oilers. Big win against a loaded team in the Stars.
Yeah, I think both those 2 wins they've had now. This is the first time the Oilers have won back-to-back games since it was early February. They won against St. Louis and Chicago. Those were both overtime wins, but they haven't won back-to-back regulation games since all the way back in January. But that win over Dallas, kind of moving in the right direction, I think, for the Oilers. The one against Montreal was sort of the same thing. I think the 2 pre-trade deadline acquisitions that we've seen thus far, Max Jones and Jake Walman, have kind of injected some life into an Oilers team that looked stagnant. Like they were in a lull throughout the entirety of February. And Max Jones, I was doing that game with you guys when he made his debut against Montreal, and we coined Maximum Jones because he made a difference immediately in that game. First period, noticeable big hits, picked up that assist, and Jake Walman looked like a legitimate top pairing defenseman in that game against Dallas. I mean, the Oilers had Evan Bouchard playing way fewer minutes than usual in that game, and I thought Evan Bouchard himself looked considerably better, even though the 2 of them weren't playing on the same pairing. I thought that having Jake Walman on the roster was a difference maker for the other defensemen.
I cannot say enough good things about Jake Walman, southpaw. I watched Walman's check, I don't know how many times, but a lot. Yeah, I can say that as well. Same with Connor McDavid's goal. I was just going from McDavid goal over to Jake Walman, back to McDavid, over to Max Jones, blowing up Mikko Rantanen, back over to Jake Walman, blowing up Mikko Rantanen. It was a beautiful thing, but Walman makes that Oilers debut and was nothing short of awesome, dude. He played 24 minutes and 40 seconds. I believe we have a graphic in here of his stats in that game. 1 beautiful assist on the Zachary Martin Hyman breakaway goal. He had 3 shots on goal. He had 3 blocks. Get him in the tattoo bet late here. Who knows what happens? He also had 2 hits. The one, nothing better than absolutely separating man from puck in Mikko Rantanen. 96 on 96 crime. Both of them apparently could have been wearing 96 for the Oilers. It's not the reality, but Mikko Rantanen apparently was interested in becoming an Edmonton Oiler. But for Walman, right, I don't want to get too excited because it is just 1 game. I am still going to get that excited because what I saw, dude, was exactly as advertised. He's an incredible puck mover. He's got the swagger to him. He can step up, play in the offensive zone. He's not afraid of anything. He played his game in that hockey game. He's very mobile, skates very well. He obviously had that bomb of a hit. As I said, Jake Walman, I apologize. Was not familiar with your game. Did not know that was a thing he could be doing, but he's got awesome size to him as well. I thought him and Darnell Nurse, right? So he started the game on the third pairing with Troy Stetcher on the left side. But once that game got into it, Jake Walman was out there nonstop playing most of his minutes with Darnell Nurse. And him and Darnell actually outscored the Dallas Stars 3-0 at 5v5. I thought they were incredible. But the most exciting thing here about Jake Walman, Coom, I think it's his versatility and the fact that he can play all over this lineup, fall into whatever role you need. And then would you see it this morning? He is slated to play on the top pair, left side, with one Evan Bouchard. Matias Ekholm not going to play tonight. We'll get into that in just a second as well. But there you see it on the bottom. Jake Walman with Evan Bouchard. I'm very excited to see what this pairing can do. He was solid with Nurse, but who knows what he can do with Booch.
Yeah, this is interesting. I want to see Jake Walman play in a handful of different scenarios. I don't know if we'll wind up seeing Jake Walman and Evan Bouchard be the pairing down the stretch or into the playoffs or whatever winds up happening. But you have a pretty decent runway here of about 18, 20 games to figure out who looks good with who. And then you can have some different looks when you're in the playoffs so that you're not just running the same, 3 defensive pairings throughout every single series, whatever opponent you're facing, no matter what. This is a perfect game for the Oilers to try something like that. You're going up against the Buffalo Sabres. They're on a big losing streak. They're not going to make the playoffs. We all know that. We all know who the Sabres are. So it's easier to go and do a thing like this, Walman and Bouchard, see if you can unlock some offense there with 2 puck-moving defenders going up against a team like the Sabres, who you can probably cut through like Swiss cheese. It's a bit easier than doing this against, like the Washington Capitals or the Florida Panthers, a team like that. So this is a prime opportunity for the Oilers, I think.
This is something I thought we knew would happen. Nobby was very clear before Saturday's game. Oilers dealing with some injuries on the back end, and that this stretch you're not going to totally see who plays with who, but Nobby's going to be very aware. Like I mentioned, Walman and Darnell Nurse for a first game. That was everything you could have hoped for and more. Thought they were excellent in that. But Jake Walman should be expecting a considerable amount of minutes throughout this week because as Louis DeBrusque broke the news on Oilers Nation every day today, shout out to Liam. Great question that he asked. Always love giving each other props for going, great question. Great question. That one's going to be a clip, but the Oilers will be without Matias Ekholm tonight and is not expected to play on their 4-game Eastern road trip for this entire week. Louis said it himself. Matias Ekholm did not travel with the team, did not go on the team plane to head over to Buffalo. Now, he did mention if it was the NHL playoffs, Matias Ekholm would 100% be in the lineup. He's a Viking, he's a Warrior, and that it's not that severe. But either way, Matias Ekholm, I think this is a good decision. He's obviously sat out the last 2 games, which the Oilers have coincidentally won both of those games. Conspiracy, anybody? Who knows? Controversy? No, I'm kidding. None of that is happening, but it's a smart decision, in my opinion, to let him rest because Ekholm has not looked right for a very long time. He was battling the world's longest illness back at the end of January, carried into February. He did play in the 4 Nations face-off tournament for Sweden, but he didn't look right in there. He was projected to miss the final game, but then he was in the last game, kind of a messy situation, and he just hasn't really looked right since coming back to the Edmonton Oilers. So sounds like this decision came from head coach Chris Knoblauch in an effort to fix, rest, whatever you need for Matias Ekholm because he's a dude, Coom. Once again, Jake Walman, you can play top pairing minutes. I do not see that top pairing of Ekholm and Bouch ever changing. But who knows? I have been wrong before. Ekholm's a dude. He plays hard, heavy minutes against the NHL's best, night in and night out. If he is not physically at 100%, you can't be asking him to go out there and shoulder that load because lately he has been getting caved in a little bit. And Matias Ekholm, we need him right for the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Oilers, if they're going to win a Stanley Cup, they need Matias Ekholm at near 100% strength. But Coomer, thoughts on Ekholm missing not just tonight, not just the last 2 games, but 4 more games, including tonight?
Yeah, for kind of the same reason I just said with the Walman and Bouchard point. You're playing Buffalo, and then even when you look ahead on this road trip, it's Thursday and Friday, so they have a couple days off here, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday or Friday are against the Devils and Islanders back-to-back. Saturday's off. Sunday, it's Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. It's possible that all 4 of these teams wind up missing the playoffs. Buffalo, we know, is going to miss the playoffs, and then Devils, Islanders, Rangers, possible they all miss as well. So this is a much easier road trip for the Oilers than the last one was. So I think they're now afforded the ability with Jake Walman in the mix to do some load management. I mean, it's easy to forget sometimes. Matias Ekholm turns 35 in May. This is a D-man who he's played just about every single game since the Oilers got him back at the trade deadline a couple of years ago, and he's played a ton of minutes for the team. And without having the Four Nations break off like a lot of players did, I think this is someone who just needs a handful of days, even if he flies out and joins the Oilers.
Exactly, that is still possible. I should have mentioned that in there. Obviously, you just hop on.
It's not like he's trapped at home and he can't join the team in 2 days.
It's on lockdown.
Yeah, he's in
got COVID.
It's March of 2020 and he's being quarantined. No, it's entirely possible we see him join the team in the latter part of the road trip. But even if not, this is probably a good thing for the Oilers and Matias Ekholm. Do some load management like it's the NBA. You have a lot of players on this team who carry significant loads, and I mean the games down the stretch are obviously very important. But there's some games down the stretch like against Vegas and LA, Western Conference teams like that I think you care a little more about than your games in Buffalo and New Jersey.
And I think that sentiment was shared by Chris Knobloch in an effort of saying, okay, I'd rather have you sit these ones out. And then at the end or the beginning of April, when we're on the nation vacation, you're playing the Golden Knights. I need you to be at 100% strength. Lance, also great point. Hi, Lance. Also missed you. Love you. We have so much depth on D now, so Ekholm can rest up. Yes, Brett?
I also saw Lance's tweet yesterday that Liam was referring to. I just want to confirm, Lance, that's not also about me, right?
No, I'm pretty sure.
What? Aaron too.
I'm pretty sure it was that. What did she call them? Idiots?
Yeah, idiots.
Something like that. And I'm pretty sure that doesn't apply to us because I've hung out with her a couple times before as well. She also referred to pre-drinking with her friends. As Lance tweeted me, and he said, she said to him, I'm going pre-gaming with Bordzy with all my friends and whatnot. So she's a loyal fan. Shout out to her. I mentioned the depth for the Edmonton Oilers defenseman. So deep, in fact. John Klingberg also isn't going to be playing.
Who?
Asked me if I give a shit about that. Not really. He missed.
I'm shocked he's not a San Jose Shark.
Why are you still on the Edmonton Oilers?
How is he not a San Jose Shark? Does he also have a no move?
Oh. Holy
an
shit.
Unknown no move.
We find out that John Klingberg underneath that contract has a no movement.
We're going to find out that John Klingberg has a clause in his contract where if he doesn't play enough games, the Oilers have to give up a second-round pick
and keep him next year too.
Yeah, that turns into a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
4 years, $4 million annually.
So he missed the last 2 games, just like Matias Ekholm. The Oilers, as I said, did win both those games. That's the one that makes sense. But he played 18-30 in that last game against the Ducks. He didn't miss any time, didn't look injured or anything there. So I don't really know what's going on. Maybe the Oilers is kind of done with this experiment. But like Lance said, that is a depth player you got in your lineup right now. It's an experiment and a depth player that is costing $1.7 million against the cap.
Could have just called up Cam Dineen.
We saw one game of it when we just did the last one together, but everything you need from John Klingberg, I feel like Cam Dineen can do just fine. But once again, who knows? Nami, Stan Bowman, Jeff Jackson, they run the team. I just think so, Coom, quickly, this experiment, fair to say, has not panned out.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think with the addition of Jake Walman now, you got Walman, Bouchard. I don't know how much ice
I'd
time.
rather have Troy Stetcher. I trust him more out there on the ice.
Yeah.
In limited ice time, he's going to give it his everything.
Yeah, I think at this point now, Klingberg's probably the 7-8, and he plays in situations when you're going up against a team and you want more offense. It's more of a free-flowing game, but I feel like it's probably a bit of a coin flip with whether he comes into the lineup or if Stetcher comes into the lineup if both of them are available. I don't think it's one's clear above the other, though. I agree with you. I probably feel more comfortable with Stetcher.
Yeah, I see some people in here. Hunter, good point. Hey, Klingberg, 4 points in 5 games. Just terrible. We all know the eye test.
It's more on the other side of the puck that we're worried
exactly.
when he's facing the wrong way in front of the
when he's caught below the offensive goal line and the puck's going back the other way. It's those things, but hey, good point, fair point.
I think Cam Barker had a couple good points too.
We're probably being too hard on Klingberg. We're talking about him like he's doesn't belong on the roster, but he's a competent NHL defenseman.
The only reason I say this and do this, if it was a league minimum deal, I'd be totally fine. It's the $1.7 million and the thought of, could you have done something else?
That's why if you have your
with
league
that
minimum,
extra money. But that's fair. Once again, might need John Klingberg come
depth.
later down
Depth's
in the
good.
season in depth is a good thing. Good calling me out, chat.
That's
good calling
fair.
me out right there. That's
got to
fair.
hold us accountable.
I appreciate that.
We'll
That's what we do here
shit.
on Pregaming. Also, Lance said it's more raising women up than hating you guys. I think. So who knows? Who
As
knows?
I said, as she should.
Also, clap it up. Shout out International Women's Day on Saturday. Shout out to women. Shout out to women everywhere, especially in the pre-gaming and post-gaming chat. Also, shout out my mother. She just FaceTimed me 10 minutes before we went live. You guys were in the room.
Facts.
She got new TELUS TV boxes, doesn't know how to set them up. So I'm going to go help her out tomorrow. Shout out my mother. But about this hockey game tonight, with a win, the Oilers would sweep the season series over the Buffalo Sabres for the first time since 2018 and 2019, which will blow the mind when you think about the Oilers' success in that time frame and the lack thereof of the Buffalo Sabres. But success in Buffalo has been weirdly non-existent for the Edmonton Oilers. Their last 10 games in Buffalo, they've split it 5-5. They've actually lost 3 of their last 4. But this Buffalo team, dude, they are a struggle in this season. Dead last in the Atlantic, dead last in the Eastern Conference, third last in the entire NHL, and they are currently riding a 6-game losing streak. And while not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet, that is only a formality, and it's looking like they're going to miss the playoffs for an NHL record 14 consecutive seasons. What were the other streaks, the other 2 longest?
Yeah, so Buffalo's got the longest one now. It's 13, and when they miss this year, it'll be 14. The 2 second longest playoff droughts in NHL history are the Oilers and Panthers at 10 years. And as we both know, the Oilers and Panthers dug themselves out of that and met in the Stanley Cup final last year, but there's no out for Buffalo at all.
It is insane when you think about this team and how they've just been stuck perpetually in shit. Forgive my language there. So they made a deal on Friday, which was a big one, arguably third biggest deal of the day, I would say. They acquired incredibly injury-prone Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker from the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Dylan Cousins, Dennis Gilbert, and a second-round pick. My initial thoughts of that deal, Dylan Cousins, the best player in that deal.
I thought Ottawa was giving up the pick when I first saw it.
And you attach not only Dennis Gilbert, but not only a pick, too, a second-round pick.
A high second-round pick.
Which is the Buffalo Sabres.
It's a late first-round pick.
None of this makes sense. How does Kevin Adams still have a job? But in the Dylan Cousins case, he is just another name in an incredibly long list of former first-round draft picks traded away from the Buffalo Sabres. Coombsy, you wrote game notes today. You had some good numbers on this. It's absolutely insane. And just some numbers on their season as a whole. They have the lowest points percentage since 2017-18 when they drafted Rasmus Dahlin. The point I made to you, it feels like in 10 years, this team has gone from here, has completely gone around in a cycle, and is 10 years later back in the exact same spot. It is a mess over here, but the thing that you had about the first round draft picks just blew my mind.
Yeah, so the Buffalo Sabres, since they last made the playoffs in 2010-11, had 10 consecutive seasons of drafting in the top 10, of selecting the top 10 of the draft. And now only 3 of those players are still here. It's Rasmus Dahlin, who was selected first overall in 2018. Jack Quinn was the 8th overall pick in 2020. Owen Power, first overall in 2021. So the 7 of them that were moved, there was Rasmus Ristolainen, he was their 8th overall pick, 2013. Sam Reinhart, 2nd overall, right in front of Leon Draisaitl in 2014. So remember, they were down there with the Oilers at that time over a decade ago. Jack Eichel, of course, first overall in 2015. The consolation prize to not getting Connor McDavid. They tanked very hard for McDavid. Didn't get him. Alex Nylander, 8th overall, 2016. He's a bust in that spot. Casey Middlestat, 8th overall in 2017. He's already been traded out. Dylan Cousins, 7th overall in 2019. He's gone too. Matt Savoy, of course, as we know, 9th overall in 2020, he's gone as well. So only 3 of those top draft picks left. You look at the Sabres and you think, man, if they win the draft lottery and select first overall this year, do you even get excited? Does it change anything? They've picked first overall 3 times already in the past under 10 years. So
it's tough sledding over there. Yes, Bert?
This draft is also it's top heavy. And then after that, I think there's been kind of talks that it's maybe not as fantastic. I'm almost curious if they trade it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Who knows what they're going to do? I mentioned you guys before the show. Tage Thompson been unreal his entire Sabres career. How long before he gets dealt from the Buffalo Sabres and doesn't want to deal with that anymore? Sasky girl, oil fan, great point. But they have Ryan McLeod. That's a fair point as well. Will be a revenge game for one Ryan McLeod. Also, he's got points out Hunter. This happens so much online. You can't speak in generalities. Oilers Nation hates Klingberg. Nobody does any research. If you want to say Bordzy hates Klingberg, that's fine. But to paint every single person in the company with the same opinion, come on, dude. You're better than that. You know better than that. You attach my name to that if you want. Once again, some good points in here. TBD determined. I just have not liked what I've seen from John Klingberg, and I will leave it at that. Yes,
he is fucking horrendous defensively.
Like,
I'm sorry.
Are we watching the same stuff?
I'm sorry. Like, I understand the
so
offensive
you put mine and
stuff.
Brett's names on it.
Yes, that's fine. I don't care. I'm fine with the offensive stuff. Just because you can move the puck doesn't mean you can play defense. Like, I genuinely, that means nothing to me,
Best
especially.
defense is a good offense.
Best offense is a good defense. But like, you sit here, especially with a team that has Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard, now Jake Walman, who's looked fantastic in moving the puck as well. Brett Kulak. Think about, like, take a look at Brett Kulak. He has the offensive touch and a little bit, and has it this year as well. But he is a defensive stalwart. He knows where he needs to be. He knows how to move his feet. He knows how to clear a guy out from the front of the fucking net. I'm sorry I'm swearing so much right now, but it's such a joke watching John. Please, next time, Hunter, you watch John Klingberg play a hockey game, which might not be for a while for a damn good reason. Watch him in front of the net. This man is a 6'3", whatever the hell tall he is. Might have lost a couple inches in that hip rotation or whatever the hell he got. Go watch him in front of the net. He looks like a 14-year-old AA Rem Dub.
He's allergic to contact.
He looks awful. He got pumped off the puck by like a 5'9" forward, and then guess who got the puck? The guy in front of the net, and he scored. That's fine. He can have 5 points in 6 games. Oh, so did Tobias fucking Reeder. Who cares? It doesn't matter. He's a defenseman. He's not a left winger. He's not a right winger. That's fine if he has the point production, but watch him in front of the net. Watch him play the position he's paid to fucking play.
What's the first word in defenseman again?
D.
Once again, I love it. I got my attack dog Brett on the leash. I'm holding him back. Like, holy shit.
He's foaming at the mouth.
You should see how sweaty
Thinking
he
about
is.
John Klingberg standing backwards, staring at the goalie as the point shot's coming in.
Once again, we've already spent way too much time on a guy on a pregame show that isn't going to be in the lineup.
Let's talk about the guys in the lineup.
I like it for Mr. Burns, though. We can't be upset about people who talk about hockey for a living not feeling like they need to glaze a bottom D pickup. Was good point. God forbid someone has a critical opinion. But Hunter's in. He's fair, and he said true point, Bordzy. So, hey, everything's all good. Brett, we've already spent too much time.
I know, but as somebody who utterly glazed a 7th defenseman, I have the right.
Does anyone here ever say anything positive about John Klingberg? Like, when was the last time we had like a clip or something go out where somebody was like, John Klingberg, here we go.
And nothing personal, Hunter. Just one.
No.
Again,
strictly game respects game. That's what we do here in the chat. That's the point of this chat.
We got to get some John Klingberg propaganda in the mix.
Clip this. We'll wait for the playoffs. John Klingberg's going to score a huge goal for the Edmonton Oilers. But we're already 30 minutes into this. Let's do our need to know information courtesy of Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products earn that sweet, sweet Wilhauk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, smoked, and marinated to savory perfection. For more information, head to WilhaukBeefJerky.com. And to pick up their sausage jerky and other products, you can do so exclusively out of their Leduc location. Bang! Bordzy did that one straight off the dome. Shout out Wilhauk Beef Jerky. That's how much I love them.
You were, by the way, for anyone who wasn't sure, he is staring down our intern who is now clutching his knees, I'm pretty sure in fright.
Standings watch for the Edmonton Oilers. Da-na-na, da-na-na. They are hit it for me, Bert. 4 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights, each with 63 games played. LA now 3 points back to the Oil with 1 game in hand. But the Oilers' next 4 games, as pointed out in game notes written by one Cam Lewis, next 4 games come against middling teams, Lottery Buffalo, then New Jersey Islanders, New York Rangers, all teams who are trying to get into that playoff wildcard area. Then the other team, the Vegas Golden Knights, they're going on a 4-game roadie of their own against the Penguins, Sabres, Jackets, Red Wings. So there's 2 lottery teams and 2 middling teams. And the Golden Knights are one of the best road teams in the NHL. The top 6 tonight, Brett, you want to pull that tweet back up from Bob Stauffer? Top 6 expected to stay the same. while Jeff Skinner will be back in the lineup. Clap it up, people. They said we couldn't do it. They said we'd never be here again.
Buyout revenge game.
Revenge game. Video tribute game as well. He's on the third line with Matias Ekholm and Connor Brown. While the Edmonton Oilers going with a throwback Anaheim Ducks fourth line of Max Jones, Adam Henrique, and Corey Perry, while Kasperi Kapanen will sit this one out. And I say thank you, because I thought he was straight ass in the last game Saturday night. Once again, the way Nobby's been working things, you have a bad game, you sit out one. Then you come back in the next. You keep that internal competition and depth rolling. Stuart Skinner, he's getting the start. Stats to me don't really tell the story on Saturday. I thought he was good, gave the Oilers a chance to win. Also robbed Mikko Rantanen at the side of the net, but can't lie to you. Third period got a little bit scary there. It got a little bit touch and go, but Stu, much like Game 6, stood tall when the Oilers needed him. On the Sabres side of things, I said it, third worst record in the entire NHL, 24-32-6, and have lost 6 straight hockey games. Here you see it on your screen. The head-to-head tail of the tape. The Edmonton Oilers leading handedly in 3 of 4 categories. But the Buffalo Sabres do have a better penalty kill. Their losing streak started back in February on the 27th. They've lost 5-2 to the Canes, 4-2 to the Habs, 4-3 to the Habs yet again, 6-2 to the dead last ranked San Jose Sharks. I repeat, 6-2. 6-5 to the Lightning, and then they were shut out 4-0 by the Florida Panthers on Saturday night. Josh Norris, welcome to Buffalo, baby. Tage Thompson, he leads the team in points and goals. He's got 31 goals, 54 points, 56 games played. He's dealt with a little bit of injury. Rasmus Dahlin on the back end and JJ Peterka each have 51 points. Alex Tuch, second in the team in goals with 24. Josh Norris did play in the last game. He was on the top line with Tage Thompson, and Alex Tuch, I believe, was on the top line in that one. Will be different tonight. He played 20 minutes and 27 seconds. He was on the Sabres top power play unit. And for injury notes, Jason Zucker is returning for the Sabres tonight. He's been out since February 25th. And Jordan Greenway, also back in the lineup, missed the last game with an illness. And then somebody in the chat pointed out, say the Buffalo goaltender's name 3 times in a row. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Brett, give me 3.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
It's the funnest name in the entire NHL to say. He's got a 20-20-20-4 record, 3.14 goals against, and an .890 save percentage, which has dropped severely from last season. Let's go now. Sherwood Ford Giants storyline brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant. Hockey fans helping hockey fans. They got their free valet service for all Oilers Nation fans. Never visit the dealership again. You know the drill. They'll come to your work, come to your home, pick it up in the morning, take it to the dealership, do the work, and they will drive that bad boy right back to you. You could start your day driving into work. You won't even know that your car, well, I'm sure they'll let you know that they took your car, and then they'll go do the work and they'll bring it back to you by the end of the workday. That's insane. Also, they've got their vehicle service plans. If you buy a vehicle from Sherwood Ford, my storyline in this one, kind of simple for me, and I'm just saying it's the new look D pairings. My storyline is seeing how Jake Walman looks in this role. How can he continue to roll for this team? The Oilers looked solid defensively on Saturday night. Once again, without Matias Ekholm, they'll be without him again tonight. I thought overall they were pretty good. Getting a glimpse into what Jake Walman can do. That was when he was slated on the third pairing. Tonight, we know he's getting the run with Bouchard. I expect him to play a lot of minutes. And my key to victory, me and Brett sat in the office earlier today and I talked about it. I couldn't think of anything specific. I wrote win because the Sabres suck. I think it's a simple one here. You go out against a team that's lost 6 in a row. You have been turning around as the Edmonton Oilers. We looked at the head-to-head. They should win this hockey game. As we know from the Edmonton Oilers, this season doesn't always go that way. They definitely play down to their opponents, especially on the road. So I am nervous in that factor. Coombsy, you got a storyline or a key to victory you can throw my way?
Yeah, I think if my math is correct, the Sabres have allowed 29 goals on this 5-game losing streak. They are 29th in the league with 217 goals against this season. So my key to victory or thing to watch or whatever for this game is, can the Oilers offense carve up Buffalo? The offense looked really good against Dallas, and that's a strong team, a team with a good team defense and team blue line. The Sabres have neither of those two things. So I want to see the offense clicking for a full 60 minutes.
Jake the Snake Walman? Question mark? Says, Bordzy, did you have a game at the River Cree yesterday? Pretty sure I saw you as I was coming off the ice. Nope, you didn't see me, but that guy sounds handsome as shit. Was he wearing a quarter zip as well from Lululemon?
Everybody is.
Shout out. Can we get a Lulu sponsor?
Menendez Brothers type beat.
Shout out the Menendez brothers.
Well, I'm going to take off the sponsor after that one.
For fashion advice for the Menendez brothers. Also, we talked about, nope, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We were talking about them right before the show. Let's get into it with the Edmonton Oilers lineup. We mentioned it earlier here throughout. But any final notes, Bert, if you do want to throw it up for me?
Nope. We're exactly what we had is what we had.
Bang. There we go. So one interesting note, Jeff Skinner on that third line. He's back to the lineup. He hasn't played since March 1st, which was coincidentally another revenge game for Jay Skinner. I kind of said to you guys before the show, I hope he enjoys his moment in the sun and moment on the ice, because since the calendar is flipped to 2025, Jeff Skinner will now have been scratched 9 separate times, according to Jason Greger's GDB article, which blew my mind what that is actually an acronym for. We won't peel back the curtain, but I found out on Friday it's actually something different. But with new guys like Max Jones and Trent Frederick now on this team, Jeff Skinner, you're kind of the odd man out, and you're going to have to earn your ice time every single game. We've already seen it when he scores. He gets health bombed as well, so who knows how this one's going to go. He's the odd man out simply because there's not really a spot for him in the top 6. He's not big and strong like a Max Jones, Corey Perry, those type of guys. He's not a physical specimen. We all know that. And then you throw in Evander Kane come the NHL playoffs. The irony that Jeff Skinner didn't waive his no-move clause because he wants to be on a playoff team come playoffs, I get it. I understand it. That's your right. You signed the deal. But the irony is not lost on me that he might still be on this team, but Coombsy, I don't know how that depth chart's going to look come the NHL playoffs. Injuries always happen. But the way this team currently constructed, if fully healthy, Jay Skinner, I don't know if you're going to be playing in the playoffs, brother. Either way, revenge game tonight for Jeffrey Scotty Skinner. Anytime goal, Coombsy, question mark?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, it would be very on brand for Jeff Skinner to come back into the lineup after being scratched and being sort of just disappearing off the face of the earth. The Oilers adding different wingers ahead of the trade deadline to come back and score a goal against his former team. But I don't disagree that he's in tough to find himself in the lineup when it's fully healthy. Because if we're talking fully healthy Trent Frederick, Evander Kane, you think, well, maybe the Sally Pod Colson spot, that's for Evander Kane. And then maybe on the third line, rather than having Janmark as the center, Trent and Fredericks there, and Janmark moves over, and that's more of a, standard fourth line that you would see. It's going to be hard for Jeff Skinner to get in, because even if Victor Arvidsson's not producing, they seem hell-bent on having Victor Arvidsson on Leon Draisaitl's line. There's just no way around it. Chris Knobloch, the coaching staff, they love the idea. It's Leon Draisaitl, Victor Arvidsson, to hell and back.
Okay, Jeff Skinner, is he in here for an anytime goal? Is he not listed on Bet365 right now? We're going to have to change that. Jake Walman, though, plus 500. Ooh. Anybody? Bert, thoughts, Jay Skinner? Been a tough go. Would like to see a revenge goal for that one.
Yeah, well, he actually had a revenge goal in the first game, too, if I'm not mistaken, too. So, yeah, I could see it. Why not?
Take top my 6. Money.
But it's kind of similar, too, to what we kind of saw with Victor Arvidsson last night. Yeah. I want to see that now that this trade deadline's gone, you're not going anywhere now. Playoffs are in full head of steam or full in sight now. I don't see why not. I don't see why not pull off the training wheels a little bit. But I just wanted to point out something that was really funny in the chat, and I wanted this.
Yeah, I saw you giggling.
Yes. So first of all, Peyton put into the chat Janmark goal. Right? Of course. But
even if he's on a breakaway.
Yes, but as Bo said, the key to victory tonight is Janmark needs to play with his jeans off.
Oh, yeah. Get those jeans off, game. Brother.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to give out the jeans later tonight.
The jeans award. The jeans on the ice player of the game.
Also, some people said for Jeff Skinner, Bet365, go to the press box section. May still be listed over there. Lance Kane, Bet365 can't give him odds. They thought he was scratched, but then Jay Skinner's in. He says, I will do it, guys. Just wait. Also, Were him and Evander Kane getting into it earlier in the chat? I love the commitment to your guys' alter ego.
I was giggling at it like for as long as it was going on. It was fantastic.
Set your fantasy lineups, everybody. It's 4:45. My alarm is going. I'll do that while I ask Coombsy this next question.
Sorry.
That's why you set the alarm, dude.
Speaking of fantasy, you have to win this week, so you eliminate Woz from fantasy. Thank you.
I'll do what I have to do, baby. The other thing I mentioned, the Oilers' fourth line in quotations there, made up of Anaheim Ducks in Max Jones, Adam Henrique, and one Corey Perry. Perry and Jones showed some good chemistry in the first game when Jones sent him in on a beautiful breakaway pass. Meanwhile, Adam Henrique, he's kind of struggled this season to find that consistent offensive production, I will say, but we all know it's there. He's also kind of struggled in that sense since joining the Oilers, but he's not playing in that top six role like he was with the Ducks. I like the idea of that fourth line. Those two guys on the wing, very big, and both sneaky offensive skill. Max Jones, I'm loving every bit of it, but I'd like to see them get in on the forecheck, be that energy line, work below the goal line. We all know that those three guys can score, but they're listed as the fourth line. I'm curious how these guys get utilized, because when I look at that trio over Jeff Skinner, Matthias Janmark, and Connor Brown, I know which one has more physicality. I know which one has more offensive skill, and it's the one further down the depth chart.
Yeah, it's listed here as the fourth line, but I'm not sure I really see it that way. That trio might wind up getting less ice time all told than, I guess, especially Janmark and Brown, because they're going to see PK time, though I guess Henrique does too. But I think that that fourth line's way more likely to see shifts in the offensive zone, a face-off in the offensive zone, are scoring opportunities, really. The line that's sort of an awkward position to put Jeff Skinner in. That's why he's sort of in no man's land, is that Janmark and Brown line is, you're really there to play defense. That's what those two guys are on the roster for, is largely penalty killing, skating around, doing that sort of thing. So it's a really difficult spot for Jeff Skinner to try and create offense. But that, what they have listed there, the Henrique, Perry, Jones line, really looks like a fourth line that can score.
Waz is in and says, beat him politely, I guess is what he means there. Also, fantasy basketball playoffs right now, Brett. I won in the quarters. I was down by so much. Nikola Jokic, first player in NBA history, 30-20-20 game. Bang!
I told
Bang!
you. And you looked at me and said, should I pick him or Wemby?
I know. Guy has blood clots, right? Is that what Wemby has? So he's out for the season?
Something like that in his shoulder.
Something like that. Either way, we're here to talk hockey. Shout out my fantasy basketball team, 4-time defending champion. Bang! Let's go to the starting goaltender report, brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. They have their Price Thaw event going on right now with savings on motorcycles, boats, and ATVs. They're also headed to the Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show March 20th to March 23rd. I think Ty and Liam are doing some stuff there as well. Come view all the latest boats, ATVs, all kinds of awesome stuff. They also have a dedicated booth specifically for fish and tackle gear, because people, it's almost fishing season. I know Waz is a fisherman of his own right, but Stuart Skinner against Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Second straight start for Stuart Skinner. Every time I say it, you know I have to say it immediately after me. Deal. That stands for the rest of the time we work at Oilers Nation. I did think those two good in the Dallas game. A lot of people coming at him, right, because you see it there in the bottom of your screen. He allowed 4 goals on 25 shots, but he made some big ones when he needed to. He got the win. You knew Stu wasn't going to be putting up a 950 against a loaded Dallas Stars team. I do think he was better than the 840. But, Coom, your thoughts, people? And I get, it's a fair criticism, man, that you need the consistent 60-minute effort from Stuart Skinner. There was also some bad luck in a lot of those things, man. One goes directly off of Ty Emberson after Stuart Skinner makes the first save. What more do you want him to do? Also doesn't count as a blocked shot for Brett. Shout out to that. But thoughts on Stuart Skinner last game, and he gets the start against Buffalo. Come on, he's got a career record against them, 3-2-1, 2.50 goals against, 9.18 save percentage against the Sabres.
And then when, I almost said then when you consider how he played in the playoffs against the Stars last year, but we're talking about the Sabres, not the Stars. Two completely different teams on two
one going that way, one going that way.
Very, very different directions. But yeah, Stuart Skinner, I think in the Dallas game, he was fine. He was good enough for the Oilers to win, and that's the Stuart Skinner we saw. We've seen a lot throughout his career, but haven't seen that much recently. And I mean, going up against the Stars is one thing, going up against the Sabres is another. The Oilers can easily outscore their problems when the game is against Buffalo. I don't think it's quite so easy to outscore your problems against Dallas. They did go and have a great offensive game against the Stars, but Jake Ottinger is not a goalie you're going to score 4, 5, 6 goals on every time you play them. So the Oilers do need a more solid Stuart Skinner. I think he didn't look bad, but he didn't look great. Yeah. Just one of those middling games where you can kind of point to different things, but you can also think, well, an elite goalie comes up with a few of those saves at least. But Oilers did win that game and can't really complain about the performance all in all.
W against a wagon of a team in the Dallas Stars. Also, Cole's in. He says no Oilers fans mad at Ekblad for cheating. We talked about that right off the hop of the show as well, but it is a pregame Oilers one. Cheater, though. Absolute cheater. Absolute, now I can say it, bullshit.
Take his ring.
Take it away. Take it away. You can't trust guys named Aaron. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen gets to start for the Sabres. They said on the year, he has an .890 save percentage, which is 20 points down from his .910 he had last season. He did that in 51 starts as well, so it was no slouch there. He played the games. Sabres thought he was the goalie of the future, which is a whole discussion in its own thing. Signed him to a 5-year, $23.75 million deal. It's kind of falling apart this year, but once again, the Buffalo Sabres in front of him, they feel like just a dead man walking. He's still only 26 years old, so plenty of time for him to turn around, whatever. He's allowed to have a bad year. But it's a messy goaltending situation in Buffalo. James Reimer is the backup. They got Devin Levi, who last year they had up at the beginning of the season playing like starter's workload. That didn't work out. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Then stole the starting job. They sent Devin Levi down. He's now played 9 games for the Sabres this season, but now he's back in the minors. UPL struggling, but he signed that deal as well. It's ugly in a lot of situations for Buffalo, but that includes the crease.
Yeah, this is one of the dozen things that are wrong with the Sabres when you look at their roster and you're like, well, what direction are they going to go to pull themselves out of what's going to become a 14-year playoff drought? And one of the clear problems that the Sabres have is they've got a lot of money tied up into this roster. It's not like they
all have deals.
Yeah, it's not like they have 2 guys signed long terms and everyone's an RFA and they're going to figure out who they want to keep around. Most of this roster is signed beyond this season. I mean, Dylan Cousins is one of the guys they moved. He was signed to a long-term deal. Their goalie, who's Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who's struggling.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
You got to do it for me too. As long as anybody's saying,
I wasn't sure
if it is said at all.
It's just it's nonstop problems on the Sabres, and I don't want to sit here and talk too much shit because then all of a sudden the Oilers lose the game 3-1 after we roasted the Sabres for half an hour. But I truly don't know where they go from here.
That's what I said. Once again, I do think UPL can be a good goaltender. I saw it enough last season. He was also on my fantasy team last year. Shout out him, but it's just weird with this Devin Levi thing and what they're going to do. There's so many areas for the Sabres that are up in the air. Let's go now to the Greta away lineup for the Buffalo Sabres, brought to you by Greta Bar, arcade, bar, street food. My favorite spot in the entire city. And people, actually, us 3 are going to be there Friday night, March 14th, a Friday night at Greta, people. We're pre-gaming, we're post-gaming. And we're flight nighting as well. I guess doesn't really roll off the tongue there. Presented by Fountain Tire, all in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. Go to nationgear.ca. Get a $10 ticket to get into the building for this. Once again, it's a $10 donation to the Ben Stelter Fund. You get in this building, and we're going to be doing, I believe, Oilers Nation trivia contest all night long. And you could win your way onto the nation vacation for not just you, but you and a friend. You could be partying with Brett and I in Viva Las Vegas. Very excited for this one. You can also still just get a ticket. If you can't make this one, go to nationgear.ca. You can just buy your own nation vacation as well. But why would you not want to do this? You come party with us Friday night at Greta, where they just did $100,000 of renovations, knocked out some walls. Very excited. More room for me to jump up on tables and throw shit all over the place. God, I love Greta. It's going to be an awesome time Friday night. Come on down and hang out with the crew. Now hit it for me here, Bert. Got to go quick. I'm just going to ask you for a player to watch. Top line, J.J. Peterka with Josh Norris, newest acquisition, rocking number 13. With Tage Thompson, second line, a healthy Jason Zucker with Ryan McLeod and Alex Tuck, Zach Benson with Peyton Krebs and Jack Quinn, Beck Mallenstein, where if you remember ONE last year, we were a Beck Mallenstein podcast with Sam Lafferty and Jordan Greenway. He is going to play. He was ill in the last one. Your deep pairings, Matthias Samuelsson with Erasmus Dahlin, Bowen Byram with Jacob Bryson, and Owen Power with Connor Clifton. They have a very high draft pick defenseman on all three of these pairings. Coombsy, you look at this roster, we only got 5 minutes left. Throw me a player to watch for the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, I've got two, not for because they're good or interesting to watch, but mostly just because watching the Sabres is like driving past a car accident. But they signed Jordan Greenway, pending unrestricted free agent, to a 2-year contract extension worth $4 million annually. And through 27 games this year, he has 3 goals and 8 points. And I want to watch and see why they felt the need to do that. I'm sort of interested who they thought they were going to be bidding against and what went into that contract.
Oh my God, we have the Budweiser goal light in here, and it just said
that was something.
5 minutes till game time. Grab some buds.
There we go.
Grab some Odd Company Nation beer. All right, quiet down. They're they who shall not be named. They're not a sponsor, so they're not allowed to be. That scared the shit out of me, brother.
I didn't expect that at all.
My player to watch, without a doubt, Tage Thompson. Still can't believe he didn't make Team USA. His last 4 seasons, 38 goals, 47 goals, 29 goals. Now he has 31 in 56 so far. 6'6", 220 pounds, can shoot the pill. So as I mentioned earlier, when do they trade him? I'm sure that's coming in a very short amount of time. Brett, who's your player to watch?
Jacob Bernard.
The second round pick they traded.
Oops! Nice move, Buffalo.
I think Owen Power.
That was. I just had a joke.
You could also mention Ryan McLeod, right? Playing against his former team. He is 6th in team scoring for the Buffalo Sabres. 14 goals, 19 assists. Plays 16:04. We kind of talked about it before the show. I don't miss Ryan McLeod really whatsoever. I don't really think about him. But what I do miss is the speed that came with him, Warren Fogle, and Dylan Holloway. As a trio, you miss that. The Oilers have lacked that this season. But you can't look me in the eyes and say that you miss Ryan McLeod staying to the outsides, being allergic to the blue paint. Once again, revenge game, who knows? He might be able to pop one home. So actually, great segue. Bet365, Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365. Breaking news, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Bet365 is an official partner of the NHL. Download the app today and use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Hit it for me here, Bert. The bankroll this evening. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's McDavid over 1.5 points. It's only at minus 105 tonight, but he's hit it in 3 straight. He's on a 7-game point streak. He always heats up in March. Blew my mind in 15 career games against the Sabres. Connor McDavid has 18 points. Still a point per game player, but that is wildly low for a team like the Sabres. Also, if you were thinking about shots on goal for Connor, honorable mention. In 15 career games, he has 46 shots. 3.06 per game is that average. The next one, Zach Hyman, over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 130. 11 shots on goal in the last 2 games, 5 and 6 respectively. 97 is starting to roll, so that therefore means 18 is about to roll. He also had 2 goals, 3 points in Saturday's game against the Stars. And then it's the new guy. It's the new toy on Bet365. I'm going to press that button. It's Walman, Jake the Snake, over 1.5 shots on goal, only minus 180. He was awesome in his Oilers debut, played over 24 minutes, had 3 shots, had an assist, and he's expected to start on the first pairing with Bouchard. He's going to feel more comfortable. I'm curious to see how much he steps up in the offensive rush. I wanted to make this 2.5. But he said, no, Bordzy, because parlayed together all 3 of these, a nice, juicy, plus 425. Coombsy, which of those 3 bets do you like the most?
I like the Jake Walman one. I think he's going to see a lot of minutes. I think they're going to be throwing a lot of pucks on net.
Nice. Lance says parlay with an Oilers W. Nice. I may have already done that. Brett, what about you?
I'm also going with Walman, and so is the chat. 50% of the vote is going with Walman. I have a very good feeling that Walman is going to become my new favorite player. He's going to become my new Vinny Desharnais, wearing my birth year. Hammers guys at the red or at the blue line. Hell yeah. First guy to wear my birth year on the Oil.
He's unclaimed. Nobody at the nation has claimed him yet.
Bang, bang, bang.
All right, let's see by the end of the night if you can claim Jake Walman as your guy.
Bet.
Does that mean you're kicking pods to the curb?
Yeah. I wasn't as vocal as I was for Vinny.
All right, that'll do it for us for Pregaming with Bordzy. Appreciate every one of you in the chat. Appreciate both of you, as well as intern Peyton. Throw down your courtesy like on the way out. And of course, big thank you to our sponsors, Sherwood Ford the Giant, Sherwood Power Sports Marine, Greta Bar Yag, Bet365, Willock Beef Jerky, and hell, order some Oodle Noodle tonight, people. It's Monday. You don't want to cook on a Monday. That's blasphemy. You get on the Oodle Noodle app where if you sign up, you get 1,500 customer loyalty points, which is $15 in value. Bang, right there. $15 free, Oodle Noodle. Thank me later in the Oilers Nation After Dark chat, where we will be live right after this game concludes, hopefully with an Edmonton Oilers puck line W. Just for the love of the game, no other reason that I may have been saying that. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Quickly, score prediction.
6-3 Oilers.
Brett?
6-1 Oil.
5-2 Edmonton Oilers. Talk later. Peace out. Good luck on Bet365.